triples, nothing. It's one of everything unless it's a land. A little bit of a different video today. We'll still be playing standard, but instead of playing cyclers or another really competitive deck, I'm going to play a little bit of an older deck. It was a brew I made. Brew with some pretty heavy quotation marks there. Basically, what happened is early on in the set, I opened a Lutri, thought it was super cool. It's in Izzet colors, which is my favorite color combination in Magic. It deals with spells. Spell decks are some of my favorite decks in Magic, so I figured, sure, let's see what we can do to make this work. So as far as the companion itself goes, not always casting it for the right reasons, I find. When you play against the higher tier decks, this deck's really on its back foot a lot of the time, so there'll be situations where he's basically a blocker, just a flash blocker, flash 3/2. When you do get value with them, it's usually really good. Even we'll get into that a little bit here. The companion limitations are pretty tough. Each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name. So you're playing a Highlander deck or a Commander deck, basically. You can't have play sets, you can't have doubles, triples, nothing. It's one of everything unless it's a land. So that's one of the big weaknesses of the deck right there, I think. You really don't get the most consistent games. I tried to fight that a little bit. I have I kind of tried to find when I was looking for cheap spells to put in the deck to copy and to power up some of my other stuff. I tried to pick some samey spells in a lot of cases. Like for instance, like Fire Prophecy, Java's Green, Lava Coil. Like if they have an X3 and you draw one of these, that's good. um, and in all of these damage spells too, if you copy them with Lutri, they can actually kill some pretty big targets, which is really important, I find. So yeah, let's take a look. This isn't going to be the most competitive deck tech ever. I'm not a competitive player by default. I was a gold 2. This deck got me to gold 2. That's the highest I think I got before I switched to cycling and got platinum 1. And hopefully mythic soon. But yeah, this is not the most competitive deck. I'm not a super hardcore player. I'm trying to improve my game. Uh, through the streams, through the videos, through analysis. So I'm just going to see if this helps at all. But anyways, the off topic of the inconsistency is definitely the major weakness here. The other big weaknesses that I see most often are just having a ton of cheap spells means that later in the game you kind of peter out. Once again, there are some big threats. Nickel Balls now. Niv Mizzet, Sharp Type, and I guess I usually cycle it, but a lot of the times, unfortunately, you end up in a situation where it's turn 8, they just put their 4th, God knows what down, and you just drew quench. So there's definitely some issues in that regard. And I guess the goal here is that I'll do a second video later on when I've modified this deck. I've got a few directions we can go in here, and with some updates, and we'll run it again, and we'll see what happens, and maybe get a short little series out of it. Who knows? Either way, let's talk about the spells. So Opt, straightforward, just really good. Shock can deal with some wind drops, particularly the Vampire Knight that gets huge instantly. It's nice to shock something like that. Anticipate, so cheap card draw. Not doesn't have the words draw a card on it, but you will have a card in your hand when it's done. Cutthroat. It's when I first started playing it, it just won a lot of games on its own. I think that might have been a symptom of being in the lower leagues, though. I don't know how competitive it is in the higher leagues. This is a counter-heavy deck, so it might be. We'll see. Either way, Cutthroat. If you play it and it doesn't die, it's just one of those creatures. You play it and it doesn't die, it gets real big. It hurts. Essence Scatter, always good. Cheap counter for creatures. Quench, cheap counter. Radical Idea, cheap fire draw. Tail's End. Slept on this card for 100 years like an idiot. Counters. counters planeswalkers, counters like really dumb ability triggers, which will happen occasionally. Counters the companions, other companions, so that's really good counter to Loris or something like that. So Tail's End, as of right now, a worthy inclusion. Electrostatic Field. There is a little bit of spectacle in this deck. I think maybe one or two cards. So he does. he has some synergy in that area. He does just have synergy with spells in general. He, she, it, they, whatever, doesn't matter. um, the this burns out. It blocks early threats sometimes. It blocked early threats a lot in the lower leagues. That's for sure. Not so much now that everything's a 1 mana 5/4. But it definitely has its utility. I think we'll see. Fire Prophecy, cheap damage and looting. Jai's Green, cheap damage and scry. Ladder Coil, cheap damage. Electromancer, similar situation. A lot of the lower leagues, if they couldn't kill it, this would just, sometimes generated 5 or 6 mana over the course of a couple turns, just with the cheap spells getting cheaper. There's a lot of 2 mana spells in this deck that get a lot better at 1 mana, so definitely like having this guy in there. That's for sure. He's a 2 mana 2/2 as well, which I mean, you never know, right? You might need that for something. Sprite Dragon does a ton of stuff. It has haste, it has flying. It can finish the game. It can use up an opponent's removal spell. It's a nice early creature that can get pretty dangerous later on. Brazen War is a new edition. I actually just you'll in the footage you're about to see. I originally recorded this deck tech, and during the deck tech, for whatever reason, just a whim came across me, and I took Tibalt out. I just have a 3 mana Tibalt in here, and I put Borrower in. We'll see how it goes. I guess it's a new card to me. It seems really good. Everything about it is super undercosted. I haven't played with a ton of these adventure cards, um, just because I wasn't playing Magic when this set came out. But now that I've been playing pretty regularly again, I've been checking out a lot of these adventure creatures, and a lot of them are pretty cool. Convolute, Counterspell, easy enough, not hard on the mana cost. Narset gets me more spells, stops a bunch of stuff like cycling to some extent. Neutralize, really awesome. Super cool cycling card with the counter overcycle. Sinister Sabotage, always great. 3 mana counter. Surveil 1 to set up your next draw. Skew the Critics is cheap removal sometimes. That's the spectacle card we were talking about. It doesn't look great, but when you're casting for 1 mana, or if you're casting for 1 mana and copying it with Lutri, not too shabby at all. Turn 4, this and a Lutri is actually, if you can turn the corner quite a bit sometimes. Ionize is just awesome. Just burning counter. Chemist's Insight, awesome. Card draw, repeatable, super cool. Drawn from Dreams, maybe not the most competitive card, but I like it. And copying it with Lutri is awesome. Not sure it's in the future iterations of this deck. This probably won't be in there. Just the sorcery makes it really slow with what we're trying to do here, but we'll keep it in for now because it's fun. God Eternal Capnet's great. Just wins games on its own. Some decks just can't deal with it. You got to basically counter or discard it, or it's just going to come back forever. Rolling Rock Slide, I put that in there to deal with the bigger creatures. I don't cast it that much. It is a sorcery, which kind of sucks. Definitely in a lower tier of cards in this set, but there has been games where they just play a big thing and I've just rock slided it and just continued doing what I was doing. So it has definitely bailed me out before. I just don't know if it bails me out enough, I guess. Crackling Drake, awesome. Hits real hard, draws a card, flies. Probably the first of the really, I guess, quote unquote expensive bombs here. Him and Kefnet. Ral just recently got this. Used my last rare rock wild card for it. Seems cool. The static effect is nice. Grind's nice. I don't know. Seems nice. Well, haven't cast him enough to really have a verdict on him yet. So Great Shark, if you can get the value off the counter, that's awesome. Doesn't happen a whole lot. A lot of times he's a 5/4 flash, but that's fine. You're still holding up counters. If real counters or spells and Great Shark like that's okay. We'll keep him for now for sure. Got Old Ral, super awesome. Boon of the Wishgiver, great uncommon. Cycle it for 1, you're feeling good. Draw 4 or 6, you're feeling good. Whatever format you cast this in, or cycle it in, you're gonna have a good time. Dream Eater can just instantly end a game if you bounce the right thing. Surveil 4 is great. Shark Typhoon usually gets cycled. I like it, but it's not an instant or sorcery, and that's definitely been an issue. That's actually something you're going to see in the following videos too. Is the instant and sorcery count in this deck? It's not bad. It's 22, but I think we should be in the high 20s at least. We're probably gonna do a very spell-based version if we come back to this deck, which I very much want to. You have Mizzet, huge bomb, great. Even if they remove it, you still get value. Agent of Treachery, counter spells are basically the only counter spells or aggro or how you deal with this. Just kill them before I can kill you before I can cast it, basically, because this just takes their best thing and it can flip a lot of games pretty easily. Thassa is super good card draw, expansion explosion, super good at a lot of different stuff. Usually ends up getting cast with X equal 1, 2, 3, but that's fine. If it kills a thing and draws you a couple cards, perfect. not a not a whole lot of value in copying the explosion with Lutri, but expansion is kind of a Lutri on its own, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, mana base wise, the mana base you're seeing here right now, it's not perfect. I did switch that Tybalt out for the fairy and didn't really get into the finer workings of the mana for that yet. That does affect one of the games coming up, but it's just too early to tell if this is working. But we've got just standard 24 lands, 11 islands, 10 mountains, some other stuff, some 2 switch one cliffs. These kind of suck. As we get more fabled passages, these will probably start to disappear. Mountain Island, you don't need them obviously. Steam vents, great first place that I got of any shock land, so really good stuff there. Temple, had to snap a place out of those two, All with the economy in this game, your rare wild cards, they pretty much always go to land, so more than happy to snap up some on-color duels, rare duels that have some pretty good upside there. But yeah, this is the deck. Not amazing, but we will. If it was, we probably wouldn't be analyzing it so hard. Let's. The goal here, I guess, with this series is just we'll play the deck, we'll play some games, kind of look at what's going on, talk about what's going on, see what the shortcomings are, maybe what can be fixed, maybe try a few new iterations of it over the coming weeks, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I'll end this there, and let's get into the matches. All right, so game 1. We'll see how the spells deck does here. Slight spoiler, deck is not good. That's why it's in the bad brew video. But hopefully we'll learn something here. That would be nice. Okay, so starting hand. So we got the fairy in our starting hand, the one that was just added. That's pretty nice. That's really not nice what we see here, the knight. Yeah, well, that's just a wild 1-drop altogether. Pretty flaccid 2-drop after that without any way to recur it, but that vampire can easily kill just about anything. We end up ditching Drake here. I still feel like that was the correct play. It's just we're the farthest away from casting it. Like with this second land here, we can cast a lot of our hand. We can even cycle Shark Typhoon for 0, but that's not going to come up. I almost always use Tail's End for legendary spells, so I always forget it counters abilities too. So I'm wondering if
there's ever a situation where you could just use it to counter the knight's ability and, you know, get him. And then here we just bounce the 3-drop for tempo. Take 2. So there's the new card being cast. And the animation trying so hard to break my computer. Does anyone know if there's a way to turn those off? Yeah, so here we've got a few options. We can, on their turn, of course, we can Farrier, we can Sharknado, we can Lutri. Lutri we don't want to be sending out on turn 3 if we can help it. It's much better if you can get the value from its ETB effect. So he's just replaying the 3-drop, which is 1000% okay. We're going to counter it and deal 2. And he's just going to send in the Fools again. The 1-power creatures. So, a few things we can do here after we land. We can play Dorat, but probably not a great idea. What's really bothering me is how long this vampire's been alive for. Like, that will just straight up kill me eventually. And as you can see here, the deck doesn't really... We haven't... I shouldn't say the deck, but we just haven't drawn into what we need here. Maybe it is the deck. I don't know. I've been having trouble figuring out the permanence versus spells deal, or the card draw versus removal deal. It's been a bit of a challenge. It's been a challenging deck to try to tune. Oh yeah, with the pump. Yeah, he's gonna get us good here. And this is another thing too. This is just a side effect of my first time playing with this card, but I forgot that the fairy can't block ground creatures. So it was probably better to Shark for 2 here. Sharknado for 2. Yeah, he's getting me real good here. I'm on the back foot the whole time. That thing's getting gigantic. He can make it into a 5/6 at this point. And all I can do is hit for 3 because he can't block. The fairy can't block. But I still think it's a good card. It's just in this situation I misplayed it pretty poorly. Alright, so he's going for this card, which is pretty crazy. 3 mana, 4/5, Menace, and I mean, it does have a drawback, but if I, in this case, my only creature can't block ground creatures, so it's hardly a drawback. Either way, it's getting countered. Yeah, Thassa's X equals 1, he has to pay 2. So that deals with that. Then he's coming in for 3 more, now down to 7. No land. I don't think the Planeswalker, I missed what I looked in my library, but I doubt the Planeswalker was enough to kill anything here. Yeah, just hit him with my non-blocker and pass. And this turn, I think this is the sad turn. Let's see. Goes in. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, no, we don't. Okay, good. I was going to say we just chump with the shark. 1 more mana, and he's going to be able to make that knight like infinitely large at any time. Just a mess. Killing with damage is not ideal always when everyone's just playing 1 mana. 1 mana 5/6s or whatever it is. Yeah, deciding if I should trade with that, but I mean, really not a good idea to trade there. Just take the 1, chump. Once again, I think I'm trying to build up to, but it's like, I just don't have enough mana to cast blockers and instants, so my Ral's minus is not getting better. And here's the game, basically. I'm at 1, they've got 3 guys out. There's just not much I can do here, so this is pretty much the end of the game. In terms of performance, I think the fact that we couldn't deal with the knight is pretty bad. Bounce, maybe more bounce effects. Maybe when I put white in, I can do some enchantment based removal or just some good exile spells or something like that. I'm actually really interested in seeing what I can do as far as exile goes, just because there's so much stuff right now that uses the graveyard, like cycling, and like that deck probably had a ton of recursion based on what we saw of it. This is actually the third game, I believe. I cut the second game. Unfortunately, I did tilt pretty hard. I had Essence Scatter in my hand, and I forgot they played one of those Vampire Knights, and I just didn't. I had Essence Scatter in my hand, and I just didn't cast. I just forgot about it or something, so I got pretty tilted and quit. Either way, really bad viewing experience. Not trying to hide losses or change my win-loss record or anything like that. I went. You'll know with that. With that knowledge, you now know what my win-loss record is for this run, and I don't care. But yeah, no, that was pretty bad. It was not looking great, anyways. That was their second night. They played another one on turn one, kind of like the first guy we fought. But let's get into this game. This is Control, I want to say. I don't know. This was a deck. Teferi right away, bam. So that's an obvious counter. You just cannot have Teferi resolve. His passive is just too good, just backbreaking. I end up tossing this. Yeah, just because I've already got 2 removal spells in hand. And then here I have an interesting choice. I can hold up Thassa's or play the Narset. Where he's behind at this point, I think it's just better to play the Narset. If he's based on what I've seen so far from him is Teferi, so he's probably looking to draw cards. So it's a pretty good idea to just beef up your hand and just try to cut down on their card draw as best you can. He could have multiple dead cards in hand right now for all I know. And then here I take the Anticipate because once again I've already got the two damage spells, no real need for Jayas. Plays Thassa, pretty scary card to see, but at the same time, not great in a vacuum, just on its own. And here we never set before. We're doing anything because we do want the second card off of it. We end up taking the only option, Shark Typhoon, which is a good option. Pass that over to them. So this turn we can anticipate, we can Thassa's, we can Shark Typhoon. We're not at the point yet where Lutri is going to be getting any value, but even just a Shark Typhoon here is really good, which is what we do. Typhoon for 3. There he is. And they get to choose what. Well, they don't get to choose anything with their Thassa. They get to do nothing with their Thassa because it's the only guy in play. Okay. So we're going to land for sure. So we're bashing first. That's smart. So far, this is going pretty well. Let's see what happens. Yeah, just a scry land here. Just try to set up our next draw. Now that we're ahead, we got to kind of keep going. Like drawing that island, not really what we want. We just kind of want answers in action. And we do have that counter up with Thassa's too, so yeah, and that's a pretty easy Essence Scatter right there. Denies them a card, denies them a creature. Really, like with Essence Scatter, like against these decks, you're not always going to have the greatest targets. Although Thassa is a creature when it's on the stack, so that's something to keep in mind. And now we're anticipating we're just going to take the threat. We've already got the mana to cast them, so we're just going to do that. Take the Thassa, and that'll probably be the end of it. Yeah, pretty rare to resolve that creature and to resolve this creature and lose. It does happen for sure, but in this board state, it's just going to be game breaking. And quench. Yeah, that was pretty sad, but I niced him. I'm a good sport about that. I like to think, I do it to people all the time. So then he's got a risen reef, gonna try to get it going. He gets to bounce it with Acetune and gets an extra activation at the end of his turn. That's kind of a really weak turn, whatever that was though. Turn 7, turn 6. So yeah, we're just not concerned about that at all. A really interesting line here is we're going to turn on spectacle here, so we do end up skewering it. But an interesting line here is skewer Lutri skewer, get him to 4. That might just force a concession, but at the same time he does have 2 mana up, so I don't want to tap down too low here. So yeah, we're just going to 3 him. 3 the creature. We've already 3 the opponent. Just keep dealing 3 damage until you win the game. That's the red way. That's a good top right there. It's just it's a draw card. There's no real reason to bottom that. It's 2 spells, so 2 opportunities to Lutri for the extra card. Yeah, don't expect to see Lutri cast too much in these games. It's just so easy to be greedy and just save it for the best thing you can. The 6 mana draw for, or the sorcery factor fiction. So we got another Teferi. We're going to try to Thassa's this, see how that goes. He's still got 2 mana up, including a blue mana. So we are going to make sure that's for 2, so he can't just pay. Now he has to pay 4, which he can't do. Now we're crossing our fingers for no negate or anything like that. And there is none. So second Teferi down. Thassa can bounce the monkey for what it's worth. He doesn't even bother. This shark is a 3/3, so it can kill the monkey, which is nice. 2/2 sharks. They get blocked by a lot of stuff. 3/3 sharks. They can get through the monkey. There he goes. So yeah, that buys him a turn, basically. That's fine with me. Is a land drop there? We're pretty far ahead. I'm sure it doesn't matter. Oh, look, a Wrath. So that's pretty good. We can't counter that with a counter shark, so we kind of just have to eat it here, which is perfectly fine. Like, that's a Wrath for 1 token that we already got the value out of, so sure. Thas at the end of the turn, we're going to shark. Just get that 5/4 flash into play. And like I said, even though this is like the worst case scenario with the shark, like, we got that in under a counter spell at instant speed at the end of their turn. We could have held up counters if we'd had any, but this is going to be the concede right here. Like, we're going to cast Niv, and then we're going to get we still got the card draw spell after that. So whenever you cast a spell, draw a card. Whenever you draw a card, ping for 1. The spell itself draws a card, so that's 2 damage right there. That's going to be the concession. So that was our win with this deck. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, so that game went pretty well. Not too much to say about that. That was kind of the ideal game. So I guess with our brew here, what we would try to do is try to get that outcome as much as possible. Pretty tricky just with the restriction, but I feel like if we start treating 4 similar spells as like a play set of spells, like 4 2 mana counters, like, sure, that's a play set, right? They're not that they have the different names and they do slightly different things, but I feel like that might be the key here. The other key might just be do a ton of cycling or just go 3 color and do just a ton of really good spells. All things I'm willing to try. I'm going to stick with Izzet for 1 more, though, at least. Just because I like Izzet. All right. Now we're playing cycling. This is our this is our punishment for always playing cycling on ladder. Yeah, it's such a good deck. I mean, it's just, you can try to beat it, but if they draw that flare, it's only a matter of time. So they're hitting us pretty hard here. We could have played the merfolk and dropped the stinger. In hindsight, probably a good idea. But at this time, like you just get so greedy here. You just want the biggest merfolk ever, and that's what I'm doing, unfortunately. So we drew our land, but it was a tap land. Those Swiftwater Cliffs, once again, not the greatest. So yeah, there's not really much we can do here at all. This is actually a really bad turn for us that lost us a ton of tempo. Not that we needed any help with that. Like, just think about it right now. Like, if we just sucked it up and just traded away the merfolk for the stinger, we both have empty boards right now. He wouldn't be pinging. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna do this. This is fine too. It's just, there's, you know, it's the merfolk is just not gonna get value here the way we want it to, and that's a big. I think I said that already, but that's a big thing. Like this, like back when we were at lower ranks, that merfolk just insta one game sometimes. It just got so big so fast. But now that we're playing against better, more consistent decks, it's just a situation where it's a 2-mana 2/1 flash basically. So I would not be opposed to switching this one out. Although it was fun to destroy people with it, well, that was an option. But yeah, I definitely want to try a version of this with much more spells. We have about 20 spells right now, so a little over 20. So I'd like closer to 30 and maybe see if that's a little bit smoother, a little bit more synergistic. You never know. Decks used to have a synergy rating. I don't remember if that was this game or one of the older MTG games, but there was a star rating for synergy. It was never not always the best. I don't even know how they would have calculated that. Okay, so yeah, he just grew Fox once. I think he was a bit short on cyclers this game. I think he had a lot of lands and flares, which is just as bad. Means less giant foxes, but he does have the second one here, which he played as well. A little late he played the fox, but that turned out to be the right call here, just because I just have so little. Yeah, I would really love just some more reliable kill spells here. I think that might be priority. But if anyone sees this and has any ideas, definitely just let me know. I'm willing to try a bunch of different stuff. So if something sounds cool, I'll do a video. Sure, why not? And the triggers are happening. Just giant foxes. Yeah, we're just going to make a chump shark and draw here. Once again, really not the ideal play. And we're not even putting a spell in our graveyard either for Drake. Because yeah, and I feel like an active Drake here would be pretty good. Like he can get them big enough. Like the fox is probably one of the few things that can block the fox. All right. So our hand right now, we've got the counter, dubious value against this deck. You can counter Luris if it comes out. I don't remember. Do I cast the counter shark? Like I definitely should have. I feel like I just played this game like forgetting about Flare somehow. But this definitely was it was definitely shark block here for sure. Like even if they end up growing the fox, at least it gives us a turn, right? But anyways, here as we cast the shark and he just lets us know that the game is over because he has Flare in hand, 9 damage exactsies. But yeah, that was the video. So my main takeaways. Geez. Jeez. I mean, at the end of the day, my main takeaways here is we just don't have the right answers to what we're seeing right now. Like the answers we have, these were good answers back when, you might just see a 2 mana 2/3 with a triggered ability that'll be important down the road. But now we're just seeing like the vampire that can pump itself, cycling. We're just it's just anything can kill you if you leave it up for long enough. Control decks I feel reasonably confident about because we're pretty fast. And have some decent planeswalker answers. Decent, not ideal. But yeah, I think my two main potential improvements here are either just move into Jeskai and just do a bit of Teferi, bit of like White Exile spells, that kind of thing, or maybe just do another Izzet deck, and either prioritize more spells, like close to 30 spells, or cycling. I'm really interested in the 30 spell deck, so right now I feel like that's what I want to try for the next iteration of this video. Once again, if anyone has any ideas or opinions on this deck, that isn't just net deck, whatever the good Lutri deck is, I'd love to hear it. I'm a big fan of this is kind of like a long-term project that I'm working on here with this deck, so I'd love to hear some thoughts and ideas on what I could potentially do to improve that. So yeah, let me know if you got any cool ideas, cool tips. Anyways, that's gonna be the video. Thank you so much for watching. You don't need to like or subscribe or anything like that. Just any deck ideas if you need it, give me those. Don't do any of that other nonsense. So yeah, thanks for your time. Have a good one.